Yeah.
All right, good morning, everyone. It's Friday, April 17th. We'll now call this meeting to order at 9:03. And we'll begin with the Council of Government convening statement.
Before we begin, translation services are available free of charge upon request. Antes de que comencemos, servicios de traducción de forma gratuita son disponibles bajo petición. Benton-Franklin Council of Governments was established by a voluntary association of local units of government in 1966 with the vision of providing a forum for improved communication, multi-jurisdictional decision-making, regional planning, and the capacity to serve as lead agency in providing multi-jurisdictional programs. The services provided to the member jurisdictions are outlined by interlocal agreement and can evolve with the needs of the region. BFCOG currently fulfills the following designations on behalf of the Benton-Franklin region: Regional Planning Commission, Conference of Governments, Regional Transportation Planning Organization, Metropolitan Planning Organization, Transportation Management Area, and Economic Development District. The BFCOG Board of Directors simultaneously serves as the governing body for the Benton-Franklin Council of Governments, Benton-Franklin Metropolitan Planning Organization Transportation Policy Board, Benton-Franklin Walla Walla Regional Transportation Planning Organization, and Benton-Franklin Economic Development District. We share this information at the beginning of each board meeting to provide context to the information shared and the actions taken during the meeting.
Thank you. Could we please have roll call?
Benton-Franklin Transit, Benton County, City of Benton City,
Here.
City of Connell, City of Kennewick,
Here.
City of Pasco,
Charles Grimm.
City of Prosser, here, City of Richland, City of West Richland,
Kate Bryan, present.
Franklin County, Port of Benton,
Bill O'Neill.
Port of Kennewick. Skip did contact us this morning and he does not have internet access to join the meeting. He is out of town. Port of Pasco,
Vicky Gordon here.
WashDOT South Central.
Brian White.
You have corn.
Thank you. And do we have any guests here online?
We do have Councilmember Trumbo is on with us.
Okay, yes, him from City of Kennewick. Okay, thank you. All right, I'll rise for the Pledge of Allegiance. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. All right, we have today's agenda here before us. Do we have a motion to approve today's agenda? I move to approve today's agenda. Thank you, Kate.
I'll second.
Thank you. All in favor, signify by saying aye.
Aye.
And any opposed, any changes? And do we have any public comment here today? No public comment. And item 7, moving on to the consent agenda. Do we have a motion to approve the consent agenda today?
So moved.
Second, Vicky, any second? All in favor, please signify by saying aye.
Aye.
And any opposed? Thank you. And moving swiftly to item 8, our action items. We'll start with Aaron, who'll present on the Tri-Cities Metro Loop Transportation Study.
All right, good morning, everybody. I will set the groundwork for this. So just as some background for everybody, at our April Technical Advisory Committee meeting, this is an annual meeting that we have now. The April meeting is the truth be told meeting. Everybody's supposed to come and be honest. It's an in-person only meeting. So just as a little background for this, within our transportation improvement program policies and procedures. At this April meeting, all jurisdictions, they will let us know. Yes, we are going to obligate before the end of the federal fiscal year, and if they're honest and they say, no, we're not going to obligate, they get a 1-year extension. So they will then have to obligate before July of next year. If they say, yes, we're going to obligate, and then they don't obligate before the end of the federal fiscal year, they get all the funding for that project taken away. So encourages people to be honest. So that meeting was held earlier this month. And with that, 2 projects have been shifted to 2027. So Franklin County shifted their $2.9 million project, and Benton County shifted their Badger Road rechannelization overlay project as well to 2027. So with that, and here's the table that shows all of this. This is the table that you normally see every month in front of you. We just want to show. So this is what it now looks like. But with that, there is a gap now in our funding to meet our obligation authority target. So in our TIP policies and procedures and in our call for projects, we had a contingency list. So this is the 2027 list, but then we have our contingency list that is exactly there for the reason of this. So projects have been shifted. We have ready projects to be funded to be able to fill the gap. That's these projects. So the top project is the County Well Phase 3 from Benton County. That is the top project that would receive funding if it becomes available because it was partially funded during the call for projects. We went down the contingency list through all the TAC members and we asked them, okay, here's your project. Can you have it obligated before the end of the year? So we started with Benton County. They said, no, we can't obligate it before the end of the year. So then we went down to West Richland with Keene Road overlay. They said, no. Those projects that are crossed out because they've been fully funded through other funding sources. And then we went down to Pasco and they said, no, we can't do it. West Richland, and I'll explain later, at the time of the meeting, they said, no, we can't fund the Bonding Ridge Road. So then we went down to Franklin County, they said, no, we can't do it. And then Richland said, no, we can't do it. So with that, we're left with a gap of $1.628 million, or we will be below our obligation authority target. And just a reminder, if we ended the year, say below 1.6 million, next year, we get that amount taken away from us. So we want to spend the money.
And this is all a result of the jurisdictions not having the money that they require locally to contribute or match.
No, this is because these 2 projects, so in 2026, these were the projects that were supposed to be spent, Franklin County and Benton County. They said we can't obligate them this year, so we're going to free up those funds to another project that could be spent in 2026. So,
Sorry,
yep, go ahead.
that's more than 1.62 million between those 2.
It's because we are over obligated already.
Oh, gotcha.
Yes. I thought the same thing when I put all the math. This doesn't, and then
The math wasn't
Yeah.
rapid at first.
So, but that's why we have the contingency list is because, so Benton and Franklin County say, oh, we've had some things come up and we have to be able to fill the gap. And we had these preservation projects to be able to fill the gap very quickly. All the jurisdictions though said we can't obligate in time. So then they turned to us and they said, well, do you have a backup plan? And we said, yes, we actually do have a backup plan. So with, our backup plan was to propose the Tri-Cities Metro Loop Transportation Study to be funded for $1.7 million. So a little background on what the Tri-Cities Metro Loop Transportation Study is. In February of 2025, the COG hosted a meeting with all the jurisdictions from the region called the Road Ahead Regional Transportation Reimagined. And it was kind of the precursor to what Future 2075 became. And we asked the jurisdictions, so think about the transportation system in 2075, what's missing? And their answers back to us were kind of completing these outer loop. And all of the components of what would be the outer loop have been studied at different times. So that is the I-82 interchange at West Richland, the West Richland bypass, the Fourth River crossing in the North Richland area, a Franklin County bypass and safety improvements on 395. The Richland bypass being grade separated, US 395 Blue Bridge expansion and expanding capacity on US 395 in Kennewick and even in Pasco. They've all been studied individually, but they've never been studied as one collective whole to say, hey, here's how we should prioritize these massive projects that will take many years to fund. So the result of the meeting was, these are the projects we want to move forward with, but we want a study to show us how we need to prioritize them. Because if we are going to build a fourth river crossing, we will be putting all of our funding eggs into one basket for a while. So if that is the top priority, we all want to be on board with that. Or if it is a new interchange in West Richland, or if it is a Franklin County bypass. The study is supposed to show how we want to be prioritizing our massive funding that we will be setting forth for the next 50 years. And it's a way for us to give forethought of how we should be planning for our entire region for the next 50 years. If we are continue to be growing, we need to be able to start to be able to set things in motion sooner versus later. So this project was the number 10 project on our regional transportation priority list. And we have been working with TriDec outside of this process to try to get it funded to the Washington State Legislature. So when the TAC asked, do you have a backup plan? We proposed this because this would be it benefits the entire region, and it will be a comprehensive study that will have a lot of public engagement and a way for the entire region to be involved in how they want the transportation system to look for the next 50 years. When this was proposed to the TAC passed the motion to fund the Tri-City Metro Loop unanimously. And they were thrilled because we're now going to meet our region's obligation authority target based upon this. So that is the one half of the motion. We'll say, any questions on the Metro Loop transportation study right now?
The cost for this was the 1.6 million
Correct,
for this one. Was
Yeah.
it the full 1.62 or was it just 1.6? I couldn't quite see the numbers.
the cost of the study we have estimated to be between 1.5 and 2 million based upon the this was based upon using inflation of the Columbia River crossing study that was done in 2011, calculating that out to today, and then multiplying that by what the 5 projects this would be. And I want to add that there will be additional projects looked at within this study. For example, when we did the road ahead, there were a couple projects outside the urban core that were also thrown out, but they have been left out, but we're going to include now because of the massive sum that the study is. One example is Benton City wanted to assess an additional bridge for them. Where would that be? So if there are any additional projects that your jurisdiction would like us to look at, please let us know with this. And this is not a finalized scope. I plan to bring back a finalized scope to the board next month, so then we can move forward with our request for proposals to consultants early or into later spring, into early summer.
But wouldn't that be part of the study to just, instead of having lines drawn, have a box drawn that says, well, what's the loop gonna look like, and so that all routes are considered and not thrown out?
Exactly. So these lines are very conceptual. The study, we're hoping will get into more finer detail to say, here are the parcels that West Richland's sitting next to me, so I'll say, here are the parcels that West Richland should start to acquire to be able to plan for this interchange and bypass for the years to come.
Cause I just wouldn't, there might be a better route, right?
Yes,
And
exactly.
I would hate to just put all the eggs in one basket as you're saying.
Exactly.
Okay.
So this is to show the conceptual of it. We don't know what the final route's going to be. We're hoping that the study then shows us what the proper routes should be. As we've heard a lot of conversation about the Fourth River crossing and the Franklin County bypass, we don't know where those alignments could be. We're hoping that this study then provides us the amount of detail that is needed to move forward with that.
And just as an additional point that we hope this study will provide as well is that because these are all massive projects, regionally impactful, can we also scope this study in a way that it helps us to explore unique funding opportunities as well, so that it doesn't fall, the burden doesn't fall to one particular jurisdiction or depending solely on a WashDOT or federal highways to do a project. So are there some unique funding sources we could consider to make that happen?
Is this something where the study would be specifically BFCOG running it, or would there be a consultant, or would we be using the Ruckle House Center as a resource?
It would,
Do we know yet?
it would be a consultant, so it will go in so next, with the timeline that we've outlined is like next month, the scope will come to the board, the following month, the RFP would then come to the board and then be published. And then be out for 30 days, and we would have with this being such a massive study, on all of our, MPO related things, we have scoring committees that encompass the local jurisdictions. With this kind of being a first of its kind with our technical advisory committee, I want the TAC to be very involved in scoring the request for proposals, and us having a very robust criteria of how this will be allocated. So yes, it will be a consultant that will be leading this, not the COG.
Okay, well, and I was just wondering, I specifically mentioned the Ruckle House Center because I don't know if there's a more or less cost with them, because I know that they've done studies that are regional in the past for the Tri-Cities. And it seemed like they had very robust studies done each time, and because they're the state colleges, I don't know if that would be something that there would at least be a discount from if it would be a consultant or not, or if they'd be able to get information from other studies they've done.
Yeah.
Without using too much extra money to pull from it.
I will, this
We
one,
can make sure
yeah.
and include
Can-
them in the RFP.
Yeah. Can I interject? I don't see a way to raise my hand, so sorry. When it's appropriate, I'd like to make a comment and ask a couple questions.
Yes, please.
Go for it.
Oh, thank you, guys. This is Jason McShane. Hey, so just a question on the Metro Loop transportation study. Aaron, appreciated you laying out kind of the range of pricing, recognizing we have a limited funding source. Is some of that scalable to where we could do this in a couple of phases with the remaining funding, and then for the next feature? And then the other thing that just comes to mind for me is we have an at-grade rail study in downtown Kennewick that we would like to try to get in at some point. I'm sure John's brought that to y'all's attention, but want to just, kind of put a pin in that as well, that may be something we're interested in trying to get done. We did try to get some federal or some state ledge money towards that, and we're unsuccessful this year. But we do have some, recognition on some of the rail challenges as we've got through the city. So thank you.
Yeah, Mayor, to answer some of your questions, I hope I answer this correctly. With phasing the study, the amount that we need to spend is $1.62 million. We have to spend that before the end of September. So with the projects that are outlined on the map, we're hoping that is a phased approach of what the results of the study will be. So for example, since Kennewick asked the question, if the study yields that expanding the Blue Bridge is the biggest bang for the buck, what we should be doing in the near term, that would be quote unquote phase one. And then phase two is building the I-82 interchange in West Richland. And then phase three is building the Fourth River crossing. That's exactly what we're hoping that this study outlines, is how can we use a taxpayer dollar to the highest and best use.
Yeah, and Aaron, I guess my question was actually related to the study being feasible, just recognizing that $1.6 million in study money between now and the end of September is a significant amount of consulting time that we talk about an RFP. That's going to have to be a fairly significant firm providing that service to be able to spend those resources, and just recognizing that you may have a better ability to expend those if we were going after multiple projects rather than just one larger study, just because of the timing is all I'm getting at, right? It's just, the end of September is only a few months away. By the time we're done with an RFP and getting that out the door, the contractor is going to need to be taking down something like $400,000 a month in study time. That's a lot of consulting time to try to get that spent by the end of the year. So that was what my genesis of my question was.
Yes, thank you, Mayor, for asking that question, because that is something I wanted to touch on. So we, in speaking with WashDOT, I had reservations. Okay, so we get this chunk of change. Are we supposed to spend all of it before September? So Mayor, this is exactly what I'm going to answer. We received the lump sum of money before September. I'll just say we received it in July. That means we have obligated the funds, so we have received it. The timeline of the study is to happen over 24 months, so we don't have to then spend the $1.62 million in the next 2 months. It will be phased out to be spent over 24 months, the duration of the study. So Mayor, thank you for asking that question.
Yeah, so we just need to obligate the funds before the end of September. We don't need to actually expend them.
That is correct.
All right, awesome. Thank you.
With this study, I'm wondering if the focus is going to be multimodal transportation or specifically powered vehicle transportation.
That is something that can be outlined within the scope as well.
One of the things that really struck me from this is the projection that Tri-Cities will reach a population of 800,000 within 50 years. The city of Seattle currently has 780,000 people. So we're looking at Tri-Cities growing to becoming a very, very large urban area in a very short period of time. I'm concerned that this particular plan really leads into highway expansion within an urban area. And highway transportation within an urban area is very expensive and very inefficient. I think that if we're looking to grow to become such a large and densely populated city, we need to be looking at different modes of transportation rather than just highway expansion.
Yes, completely to the points that you just raised, those exact outcomes of, so let's say the finding of this study is that the highest and best use of our dollar is, I will use, to build a light rail, to go into a light rail feasibility study. That is something that we hope can be an outcome of this to show, here is how we should be properly planning for our future. Or is it showing that we should be building pedestrian bridges across the Columbia River? Whatever the proper outcome of how we should be spending our limited funding, this study will prompt that. Ultimately another study will be needed. But that is the outcome we're hoping for, is that this was the outcome of our meeting we had last year. And we don't want to change what the jurisdictions have requested, but if there is a better way that we should be building for the future, we will at least want to know we've assessed this one and it's not correct, and here's the path we should be going.
I think that Roscoe would be upset at me if I didn't mention that. I agree absolutely what you're saying, but I also know that there has been a deep need for West Richland to have an entrance to a highway, just so we could get larger vehicles so that we can get businesses, because there's a lot of businesses that aren't able to build in West Richland because they need to have the ability to have heavier vehicles go to West Richland. Exit directly from a highway, they're less likely to build there. But I absolutely agree, we need multimodal to be looked at.
And there's from conversations that have been had at our board level, and even I spoke, or I've used the example of the light rail feasibility study. With conversations we've had with BFT, of that would be a very exhaustive study as well. It would be a good chunk of change similar to this. This we're hoping to use as the precursor to show, hey, when there is a gap in our obligation authority, we want to be able to fund these types of studies that no one jurisdiction could then fund. So if a light rail feasibility study is the next one that our board wants us to pursue, we're more than glad to do that.
Aaron, on that same point, and I think to Mayor McShane's question as well, is that when we do a call for projects, oftentimes the jurisdictions won't put forward a study because they're not necessarily competitive in the scoring for the limited money that's available. And so I think this also sets a precedent that, hey, if you have studies that can be on this contingency list for those times that we have a situation like this one, then we may be able to fund those kinds of studies in the same way we did this one.
Yeah. Any more questions on the Tri-Cities Metro Loop? If not, there's a second half of the motion. Lacey, would you mind looking at it? Okay, so the next half of this is, so I said, the city of West Richland reached out to the COG after the TAC meeting and informed us that they could inform part of their bombing range road project. So that is the second highlighted project shown here. That's so it is on the contingency list, but this was already after the TAC had a motion to fully fund the Tri-City Metro Loop study. So at the time of the TAC meeting, the city of West Richland was unsure if they could obligate the funds, so they said, no, we can't obligate. But then they reached out to us and they said, yes, we could obligate 475,000 because they're going to be receiving a TIB grant, and this will be their match for that. So as it was not discussed during the April TAC meeting, I facilitated an email to all the TAC members saying, here's what the city of West Richland has done. If any of you have any objections to this, it will not go to our board. But I'm going to outline this process to our board so they know how this motion became about. Nobody had any objections to it, so therefore it became a board action item. Funding this project does not impact the funding of the Tri-City Metro Loop, as it is a good thing that we are over obligated to meet our obligation authority target, as jurisdictions de-obligate funds or people do not obligate their projects. So we are over obligated, and that is good. So with that, this is the proposed motion, and I am glad to answer any questions.
Do you have questions first?
Yeah,
Any questions, comments? All right, do we have a motion?
I move to approve the funding of the Tri-Cities Metro Loop Transportation Study and the Evolving Range Overlay Project as presented.
Second.
Been moved and seconded. Any further discussion?
To say I really like the idea, and the being able to fit in studies last minute, I think is important, because we know we need so many. And I'm looking forward to seeing the scope in.
All right, and Mayor McShane?
Yeah, I just was going to verify again. And I apologize because I'm not in person. Got that recovery center dedication today, but we're approving the funding of this as presented. However, we're going to be reviewing the final scope of work for the RFP at the next meeting for approval. Is that correct?
next month will be the scope of the study. The following month will be the RFP.
Okay, that's awesome. Yep, I'm fully supportive. I think it's a really important project for us to move forward on.
All right, any other comments or questions? All in favor, please signify by saying aye. Aye. And
Aye.
any opposed? All right. Motion passes.
Okay. All right, next action item for the Economic Development District is a follow-up on our discussion for the buyout of the Regional Revolving Loan Fund. So as a recap, back in December, the board authorized me to negotiate with Tri-County Economic Development District to buy out our remaining non-federal Regional Revolving Loan Fund loans. We have 3 remaining loans with a total balance between the 3 of $254,303 roughly for their total balance. Then in March last month, the TED board, the Tri-County board, authorized the buyout of those loans. So they had a chance to review the background documents, securities, all of that, had no issues with buying those out. So after approval of this buyout by our board today, hopefully, then TED staff and COG staff will meet to finalize the actual transaction itself and how we notify the borrowers and all of that. Target for completion of the transfer would be by June 30, that we'll have that completed. Additionally, I didn't fill in my number. The EDA CARES revolving loan fund, which we are also coordinating with Tri-County to take over the EDA CARES revolving loan fund. We approved that back in October, providing me authorization to both negotiate and execute that transfer to Tri-County once it was approved by the EDA. We only have 1 remaining EDA CARES loan. The balance of that single loan is $254,000. But the capital base for the fund is the amount of the original loan fund plus all the interest that had been earned during that time. And so we're a little over the original capital base was just at 900,000, and then with the interest and whatnot, we're about 1.2 for the capital base. So that entire fund would move in its entirety to the Tri-County Loan Fund Program. So in March, the TED Board passed Resolution 2026-01, authorizing the assumption of our CARES revolving loan fund. They sent us a copy of that executed resolution, as well as a copy of their updated loan fund administration plan, which they have to have for the EDA. So I was able to review that and make sure that it did in fact outline clearly that Benton-Franklin applicants would have access to the entirety of their loan portfolio, not just the funds that we were transferring in, which was part of what we agreed to. So that is adequately documented in the information that they provided for us. So the proposed motion for today is to authorize me to execute the buyout and subsequent transfer of those non-federal regional revolving loans, those 3 loans from the COG to TED. And then also additionally noting, based on the conversation we also had a couple of months ago, that then the funds from that buyout go into our freedom fund.
We have a motion. I'm actually wondering, could you go back 2 slides? I think I misread when I was writing my notes. Yeah, so the 3 remaining loans and the singular EDA CARES loan is the same?
I noticed that as well, and they are very similar numbers. One is 200 and change, and the other 3 together are 200 and change, but I mistakenly have.
Okay, so they're not both exactly the same?
No, they are not, but they are both in the
Okay.
200 window.
Thank you for that, but-
Yeah, thank you. Yeah, no, you have not lost your mind.
Okay, all right.
Yeah.
all right.
Yeah, no, it was me.
Okay, and then, yeah, okay, that was the only question.
Okay, good.
Yeah.
Yes, and once we have all of the execution, then we'll bring a final summary back with. All of this is a little bit of a moving target, because once we have the approval, then we will draw a line in the sand, and whatever the dollar values are on that particular day, then we'll be able to show the exact accounting of all of those and what transferred and what's going out and what's coming back. But either way, after 3 years, we will be out of the loan fund.
3 years, 6 years.
Celebration.
All right, any other questions or remarks? All right, do we have a motion?
I moved. Yeah. The exact words for the shortened version. So I move to authorize the executive director to execute the buyout and subsequent transfer of the remaining non-federal, regional, and revolving loans in BFCOG's portfolio to the Tri-County Economic Development District, noting that the proceeds of the buyout will then be deposited into the WIDA fund upon receipt.
Thank you, Councilmember Warren.
Second.
Second, thank you. Any further discussion? All in favor, please signify by saying aye.
Aye.
And any opposed? All right, and
Nice work.
like we have no COG action items, correct? So we'll go ahead and move to executive session. So we will convene executive session as per RCW 42.30.110 from 9:37 a.m. Till, I guess that takes us to, for 15 minutes, so that'll take us to 9:52 a.m. in order to discuss with our attorney present online litigation, pending litigation, or legal risk of a current or proposed action.
Thank you all for the conversation. Can you guys hear me? Are we not quite back yet?
Sorry.
Then make sure
We're back.
Can you click back over there? There we go. As we talked about what happened at the April TAC meeting, this update for the monthly obligation status will be quite short. The region has obligated 5 projects for a total of $838,282, and we've deobligated we've deobligated 6 projects for $564,000. That number is actually going to go up to just north of $1 million, as we were informed by Franklin County that they are deobligating a project from last year. So that's also the reason why funding the study and funding the overlay project is good. And we have received our OA target, and our OA target is about our OA target is 5.5 million, which is shown on the table here. So this is the updated obligation authority target table, and it will be finalized when we submit our TIP amendments to WashDOT next month for the bombing range overlay project and the Tri-City Metro Loop transportation study. All right, and I will roll through my other updates real quick, knowing that we need to be wrapped up here plus 20 minutes. Here is your monthly RTP update. We've started our second round of the focus groups. Just a reminder, we did focus groups in February, and then this time around we're doing focus groups again, building on the discussions, but having them more geared towards our social pinpoint exercise, which I will talk about here in a second. On April 2nd, we had our rural focus group meeting with the exercise. Not many participants showed up, and we're taking this feedback as we want to have more concerted efforts going forward to increase the participation from rural and small town communities. But it was still a good and robust discussion we had with our rural focus group. On April 7th, we hosted the Richland/West Richland focus group at the West Richland Library. This was a lively discussion, and we walked through a simulated version of the social pinpoint budgeting exercise, as we're having people take on different roles. There's 6 different roles: city planner, city engineer, transit planner, city councilor, community-based organization, and resident. And then this is not in your board packet because it happened last night. On April 16th, last night, we hosted the Kennewick focus group at Just Juice. This meeting left me feeling very inspired. Residents were really wanting to be involved in the planning for the future of our region. It's always good to hear that people are taking time out of their day to voice their opinion and to participate in how they want the Tri-Cities to be. And that was really cool to see. Next Tuesday, we have our Pasco focus group, and then on the 30th, we have the youth focus group. Next for the RTP update is we are developing an RTP video. We're working with Spotted Fox to develop a fun RTP video and a COG video, so we can use those jointly and in informational materials going forward. We have a filming date of April 29th, and then there will be some drone shots throughout the region filmed into May. We will be contacting several of the TAC and board members to participate in providing voiceovers for the video. So as I talked about the budgeting exercise, this this is the budgeting exercise. Here's a screenshot from the website. So this is called the RTP Investment Priorities Shape Your Regional Transportation Budget. So we took all of the projects that were submitted to us from the RTP. It's over 200 of them. We selected 50 of them based upon budget and what jurisdictions have deemed as their priorities. And then we scaled it down to $500. The project costs vary from 45 being the lowest and then 205 being the most. So we're asking residents or board members, we had the TAC do this exercise in front of us. We had them go through and select what projects they want funded. So the focus groups are doing an in-person version of this. But if you would like to do this, we have flyers out in the entryway, and we can share this to the board members as well. But the blurb is, as part of developing the RTP, we're prioritizing transportation investments across the region. These projects aim to address current and future needs while supporting safety, accessibility, mobility, and regional growth. With a budget of $500, which projects are you going to choose to fund?
Very cool.
All right, so last month, I let you all know about our transportation summer intern. We are hiring for a transportation summer intern position. We had 51 qualified applicants. We interviewed 10 of them, and we are following up with five of them for 2 potential intern spots for the summer. So very excited about that. All right, and then here are some community outreach items. I'll just list, I will list them off on things that we're doing over the month of April. One thing that was not in your board packet that I added on here was on April 9th, the Benton-Franklin Council of Governments BFT and WashDOT held a collaboration meeting. The format was stoplight. So where can we, green light, where can we continue to collaborate? Yellow, where do we need to reassess? And then red, where do we need to stop collaborating on? It was a good, lively discussion identifying future ways for us to collaborate. The light rail feasibility study that we talked about was one of those. On the 14th, we had some items for the HSTP, and then there was the regional freight plan open house hosted at the Port of Benton. As I talked about the Kennewick focus group on Tuesday next week, Daisy and myself will be at the Salmon Summit for the RTP. And then on the 21st, we will have our Pasco focus group, and then the following day, Lizzie and Tanner will be at WSU Earth Day, and then we will have our UPWP meeting on Wednesday, and then our focus group to round out the month. So busy month of April. And then last but not least, we found out yesterday, I let you all know that we submitted a proposal to AMPO for presenting based upon where the COG has been. So start where you are, risk-taking, credibility, and community trust for MPOs. We submitted that last month, and we found out yesterday that we were accepted, and we will be presenting at AMPO in Sacramento in September.
Nice.
Yeah. All right. That is all for me.
All right, thank you so much, Erin.
Okay, well, I'm going to be Kristen today. She is suffering with she has horrible asthma and her allergies have derailed her today, so she's sorry she couldn't be here. She has been so busy working on a Washington Wildlife Recreation grant for the city of Mesa for their Poe Park. A floodplains by design grant with Benton City, where they had their preliminary presentation and were authorized to submit the full application. So she'll be helping them finish up that. And then the library capital improvement project for Mid-Columbia Libraries for their Kennewick branch. The congressional connections are state sessions, so where we have our local legislators meeting with our federal delegation staff. That will be happening on April 22nd to talk about how they can collaborate on information. And then on March 27th, the day after the Federal Partners event, we had Wes Cochran, who is our district representative for the EDA. He stayed on Friday, had a meeting with Daisy, Kristen, and I about our relationship with EDA, our work on the SEDS, how can we improve applications out of our area for EDA funding. And then we went on a tour of multiple regional projects that might at some point be applying for EDA funding, including the facility modernization for Port of Benton's Stevens Drive building, multiple projects under the city of Richland. Benton County, we went and looked at the fairgrounds and the potential amphitheater space there. And Port of Pasco, we did a driving tour related to the airport, the AIM Center, Big Pasco, and the wharf. So it was a fun day. Bill West especially loved that he got to go into one of the train engines. That was a highlight for him for the tour. So it was a good day.
Boy, that was all day too.
It was all day. So we had some pictures out at in our driving tour up there on the train car and out looking at the amphitheater space. And Lizzie.
Oh, great. That was so quick. Good morning, everybody. So some updates for brownfields. We've had 2 phase 1 environmental site assessments completed. Those for 2 priority sites for the city of Prosser and 1 for the city of Richland. We are ready to start a phase 1 for a second site for the city of Prosser. It's their Benton Road Greenfield site. So we are waiting on just a final wrap up and they should be getting that phase 1 here started soon. We did submit a site nomination, or we received a site nomination for the city of Mesa. They have an old church that has some asbestos in it. We did actually receive approval from the EPA already, so now we're just working on getting some access agreements. So we can also start that phase 1, which is really exciting. Some other updates, our CLAP is still waiting for a signature. I don't know why it's hard to sign a paper, but we'll get there. So I still need 2 more. We are working on our quarterly report since we did wrap up this quarter. So just doing a quick summary to the EPA, letting know what we've accomplished so far. We're exploring some pilot community engagement ideas. One of them being working with the city of Richland. They have their own little e-newsletter, and so contacting some of those local businesses who may have a brownfields or suspected opportunity site is what we like to call them. As well as looking at maybe a mail insert that we can do for targeted outreach for again those local business owners or landowners. And then lastly, still doing our regular check-ins, meeting with the EPA, meeting with Stantec, got to meet with their planner who does the GIS inventory. So we are plugging along nicely. There's some always open to questions.
Okay. Quick final COG report from me. Just a reminder that the June board meeting is going to be the 12th and not the 19th, since the 19th is Juneteenth. Our 2025 audit prep is underway. Alexis is all deep in the numbers and the notes and making sure we're prepared for our submittal. We are still waiting for our 2026 ICAP determination. We submitted 3 months earlier this time than we did last year. So far, we're still on track to end up with the rate the same time we did last year. So, you know, our extra readiness has not benefited a faster return. And then building construction, for those of you who are on site and saw our, you know, draped plastic sheeting in the hallway, the walls are up to enclose what was the 2 cubicle areas into 2 enclosed office spaces. So one will be a small conference room, the other will be file storage and copy room that'll allow us to reconfigure what we do with storage and filing. So I'm anticipating we're going to have that done in the next week or so. They're doing final texture sanding now. They got to hang the doors and do the painting. So that should be done pretty quick. For operations, we've had 3 public records requests so far for 2026. Generally, we have 1 or 2 a year. So 3 by April it might be a record. Lacey and I have been super grateful that we went in on the Next Request software last year. That has made reviewing and submitting and gathering all of the information much better for us this year. Outreach and engagement highlights. We've had a busy month. You've got a picture here in the corner. Skip and Shannon came and brought donuts to the staff. All of our team attended the Regional Chamber annual meeting and awards luncheon. It's kind of the one event a year that we take everybody out and just enjoy some lunchtime together. The Federal Partners Coalition event. I mean, look at our banner right up there in the middle of the stage. we actually had specific interactions with USDOT, USDA Rural Development, the EDA, HUD, and DEA about various projects. Your packet included the briefing statements that we put together for everybody. So I felt like it was a beneficial day for us as the COG and was good conversations. And you can see our little booth there for the resource fair. Your packet also had a copy of the official recognition that we received from Franklin County for participating and being a partner. I facilitated the second session of the mission, vision, and core values refresh for the city of Prosser. You can see the council members were voting on options for statement preferences, and
We
so
raised the paddle.
and you know what? They were all smiling in the picture, so I took that as a good sign. And then Lacey and I participated on a panel for the Administrative Professionals Network conference, talking about strong admin and executive working relationships, which was fun. And then I did a workshop on empathy in the workplace. For our partnerships, the annual regional PFD meeting has been rescheduled for May 14th. We were so close for a quorum, but a meeting right before our meeting had an executive session that ran long, and our one person we needed for quorum wasn't able to get out of one and into ours. So we're gonna meet on the 14th. The Benton County Public Facilities District, their second quarter meeting is coming up on the 28th at 4. This one will actually be at the Three Rivers Convention Center, and they're going to tour the construction updates while they're there. We do have 3 PFD board seats that are now open for applications. One of the current board members is not going to continue, so we will need to have a push to hopefully get a new board member for the PFD. We are still waiting for the official word from EDA on the Partnership Planning Program grant. I'm told it'll be here anytime, so we're just waiting. This happened last time too, but we just continue to do our work and wait for things to be official. We're currently doing all the closeout paperwork from the original grant now. That's due at the end of this month. That's it for me.
Thank you very much, Michelle. And do we have any new business?
I'm not aware of any new business.
All right, and we are aiming to finish up at half-hour past, but we do have some time for director updates. If anybody would like to share an update from their jurisdiction.
Well, I think the Port of Pasco is gonna present today, and now they're gonna present in July. We have some exciting things going on. The rail in Big Pasco is going to be expanded. We have a new tenant, Savage Transport, that will be, I mean, the expansion is unbelievable, but it's gonna connect us with the west side and back. So that's going on at the same time that we've hired a consultant to go in and evaluate the rail that we already have.
Is this for free?
Yes,
Yeah.
free. And so that's going on. We're also planning another trip to Denmark to see the Green Lab egg symbiosis project that they have there. And we hired a consultant that came in and will be the point organization for developing over the next 10 years Green Lab of our own egg symbiosis here. So
What is that?
egg symbiosis?
Is that like for the vaccines or is that?
No, it's
Chickens or-
it's where the waste from one industry is used as energy for the next.
Oh.
And this area is, we need 150 to 200 acres, and there'll be up to, I think in Denmark, they have like 5 or 6 different organizations, industries that use each other's energy.
What's the acronym?
Um,
HE?
ag symbiosis. Agriculture or industrial symbiosis. It could be eggs.
Yeah.
Yes, agricultural symbiosis.
And is the goal to use agricultural waste products, or is there a model for
There'll be,
urban waste products?
there'll be, this consultant, has put together the plans that we're gonna be using and finding different stakeholders that would be interested in participating in this kind of project, so.
Great.
Yeah.
Yeah, we just had a discussion in our city about a new, I guess, law or rule coming down the pipeline from the state about requiring all cities to separate a biomass or biodegradable items from the garbage, so organic
Mhm.
waste. And then determining then, at this point, I think we've just been sending all of the waste to the landfills, including like lawn clippings and, you know, biodegradable items. And so what does it look like then to separate it? What does it do with that waste? I'd be curious.
Yeah.
Denmark has been using that sort of waste to provide energy.
I would imagine.
I'm
But
wondering if other, I know that for West Richland, and I am not very familiar with how it works exactly, but I think from our water waste plants that we have, there's a section where they take the solids and they dry them out, and I think that some industries come and collect the dried out waste or something. I'm not entirely sure what, Roscoe would know, but I'm curious to see if that could be something.
when we at Pasco has the water reuse facility, the new facility north of.
Yeah, well, and we've got the eye plant too, where we can bring in the waste from dairy and also from wineries.
Right.
So in West Richland, we've got the eye plant. Yeah,
Very good.
that would be interesting to work
So-
together on the.
Yeah, we look forward to hearing back about your trip.
Yeah,
Trip to Denmark.
once I go into Denmark, can I be in your luggage?
Any other updates from other directors? All right, we'll go ahead and adjourn our meeting at 10:30 a.m.